Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I'm glad you're with me. I've realized that you guys enjoy the affordable one brand tutorials so much, and especially after putting a lot of focus on Wet n Wild somewhat recently, I saw the request coming in for Essence. And interestingly enough, very recently there have been some new things from Essence come out on Ulta's website. So Ulta's website is my go-to spot for purchasing that brand. That's where I can find it in person or order it online. The prices are pretty much on par with what you'd pay for Wet n Wild products, maybe a little bit more here or there. But yeah, I've pretty much got a full face here. There are a couple of aspects where I forgot I didn't have something from this brand, but we're gonna dive in. I've been playing with this stuff for a little while, so it's not exactly a first impression that I'm giving you, but there are some things that I'm a little more familiar with than others. And I don't always say this in my videos, but if you're new here, I do link to everything in the show more section, or the info box as we used to call it, underneath the video. So everything I use is listed in order, along with a link, and also every brush that I use is listed too. So hopefully that's helpful as you try to possibly track down some of these things. But first off, we're gonna prime. I've already got my skincare on, my sunscreen on. This is the Hello Good Stuff Skin Refining Primer. It says with moisturizing sea kelp. It also says with 98% natural ingredients. So no silicones, parabens, microplastic particles, mineral oil, or PEG. So what does skin refining actually mean? To me, it just feels like a light moisturizing primer. It goes on really nicely. It just looks white and creamy coming out. It smooths on really nicely, like no complaints about how that feels. It feels kind of like it hangs together and stretches across the skin, if you know what I mean. Feels like it basically just adds a little extra layer of moisture. Has this affected the staying power of my makeup? I think it possibly has. The foundation-y product that I'm going to use, I think has worn better when I've used this underneath as opposed to when I haven't. And that eases us right into the foundation. This is called Pretty Natural. This is something I tried in the past from Essence. I have it in the shade Now, Neutral Honey. I hadn't been able to use it for quite a period of time because the color I was working with before ended up being pretty light for me. Pretty light for me most of the time. Like, I don't know, it might have worked for me in the dead of winter, but it's definitely light for me now. So Neutral Honey is shade number 60. Now this has hyaluronic acid and aloe vera in it. They claim that it's a long wear formula with natural coverage, finish, and weightless feel. It is a pretty lightweight product, I would say. It has kind of a traditional foundation feel to me. It comes out of this squeeze tube. I'm going to squeeze out roughly the amount that I would normally use of foundation, maybe a slight bit more, just because I know like I do want some good coverage out of this, as much coverage as I can get. So just swiping it on, and I definitely have a little extra. Today I'm going to be trying the Makeup Buffer Brush for the first time. This looks a whole lot like a Sigma F80, feels exactly like it too. So we're just going to try buffing this foundation in with this brush. It feels a little bit stiff on the skin. You know, you might think for the name Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation, you might think, well, oh, this is going to be like real slick, but I actually do notice a little thickness out of it. It feels very much like a traditional liquid foundation. To me, it feels like what the L'Oreal Hyaluronic Tinted Serum is trying to do, but with a little less coverage than that. And we've got an eyelash here. What wish should we make? But a little less coverage than the L'Oreal and not as good of staying power. That's kind of my concern with this. As I've worn it, you know, maybe it has been a little bit better when I've worn it on top of that primer, but still I feel like I can see it kind of wearing in a patchy way. Like, even though I go to pretty good lengths to get it evenly blended everywhere, I might look up close at my skin, and between my brows and around my nose and under my eyes, things are looking, you know, thick. And like, I really wouldn't want anyone looking up very close at my skin, you know, under those circumstances. See, the finish reminds me a lot of that L'Oreal one because it looks kind of natural, but it's not offering a lot of glow at all, actually. It's a pretty natural skin-like finish. Just like I said, a little less coverage than the L'Oreal, and it doesn't wear quite as well. If you're going for this weight of product, which really kind of feels like typical foundation and you're wanting to stay in this price range, why not go for a Wet n Wild Photo Focus, either the dewy or the matte, just depending on what finish you like, because those end up feeling the same in terms of the weight on the skin, but they're a little more coverage and I think a little bit better staying power, particularly the matte option. And then I ended up repurchasing this concealer. This was something that I had actually decluttered out of my concealer collection not all that long ago, but it's the Camouflage Plus Matte Concealer. They say waterproof and tattoo covering, and I got this in the shade Light Ivory. For me, I believe this is a little bit more drying than I want to wear. It can look kind of fresh right after I put it on and definitely does have some coverage, but I feel like as the day rolls on, it looks like heavy and collecting, like in fine under eye lines, like making me feel like I have lines under my eyes that I didn't even realize were there. Spotlighting problem areas. And I think it's just the dry down of this concealer is maybe a little too extreme. I don't know. I'm really trying not to over apply. But again, talking about Wet n Wild, I can get away with wearing Wet n Wild Incognito concealer, which is very affordable, and I feel like that wears very well on me all day long. e.l.f. Camo concealer, of course, is a big fave because it can cover darn near anything and not really show a lot of signs of wear as the day rolls on. I'm using my e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush here so I can kind of flip to my little side and really work that in some areas. But this is still a really good coverage concealer, I gotta say. And the shade I got, I think is good for me because it's managing to brighten as well as cover. And I'm really trying to work it in well so I don't end up with the feeling that like I had excess sitting on my skin. But I really truly try to do that every time I wear it, and it's still kind of gives a heavy look. The feeling that it's just drier than most things I'm used to wearing, especially all up on this under eye area. It may not be that way for everyone, but that's just what I'm picking up on with the combination of these products. Not great staying power and not a feeling by day's end that the stuff is totally faded, but that it's sort of collected / gotten a little patchy and made any fine lines up in here appear a little more obvious due to the drying nature of this concealer. Now for a powder, I forgot I don't have any Essence powder apparently. I thought I might have had a little matte pressed powder, and they do sell just something like this on Ulta's website, so I'm just going to use one from Wet n Wild because I know it's probably similar. This is just the Bare Focus Clarifying Finishing Powder, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of this on, setting my T-zone in my under eye, just real lightly. Hardly any powder on the brush, but it makes me feel better about going through my days and sweating and all that. Yes, summer does create an obstacle for staying power for your makeup, that's for sure. Next, we're going to get into some products that I think Essence does really well. Bronzers, blush, highlight. They've got some new things as well. Just a lot of great prices too, so let's get into it. I've got this Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder Palette. This is in shade 10, Better Than Vacation Tan, and it is what they say, you know, 4 matte bronzer shades. I've used it, doesn't look like I've really used it, but these shades don't really like rough up a lot of color when you go into them. But I'm going into just that shade at first. It's a very traditional bronzy kind of color, and I'm working it in there kind of as a bit of a contour. But these shades are pigmented, they're easy to blend, you get a full palette of them. I believe when I purchased some of my Essence stuff, the price was even like marked down on some of it. So if you can get you some deals like that, you're not going to be paying much. Definitely under $10. And then I'm going to go into a little deeper shade for around my hairline. And I don't know what it is about these makeup headbands, but I absolutely love the feeling of when I'm getting on here doing a full face look. I love the feeling of getting all my hair pulled off my face. I feel like I can really focus on things, you know? Yeah, it's just kind of fun. Okay, look, the skin's getting some color. It's really easy to blend. Go down the neck a little bit. I'm going to pull in just a little bit of that same deeper shade and add that to my contour as well. It's just really a ton of product. You feel like you're getting 4 full-size pans in one little palette. Another thing that they have is called Kissed by the Light. This is a new thing. They're these little kind of like mosaic highlighter glowy powders. This one's called Sunkissed, and this one with the pink in it is called Starkissed. So I do want to show you a little bit of that. When I run over it for like a swatch, yes, both shades pick up, but I feel like it's heavier on the shimmer. So like if I wanted to apply a little bit of this and think, well, it's going to be like bronzer, it shows up highly shimmery, okay? It offers a lot of glow to the skin. It might be something that you just want to dust like straight up on top of the cheekbones. It's not a contour product. It is what appears to be a mix of bronzer and highlight, but heavier on the highlight. Now this one truly has bronzer, blush, and highlight like all together in the same compact. And when you move these shades together a little bit, I would say you still get a heavy on the highlight look, but it's just a little bit rosier. Your brush at times might pick up a little more pink, and you can make that show in a bit of a blushy way, but if you really like a pigmented blush, I don't think it's gonna satisfy you like that. These are more so on the end of being a highlighter product, in my opinion. But for a straight up blush, I have been loving this one. This is Essence the Blush in Befitting. It's this pretty kind of like dusty color, sort of rosy mauve. I'm getting maybe the slightest hint of a satin finish here, but it's mostly matte. But I think the color is super pretty. It kind of reminds me of the shade that was in that Buxom palette that I just reviewed, actually. It's a soft pink, but it shows. And it shows up maybe a little bit warmer on the skin than it appears in the pan. Is anybody else catching how peachy that's pulling as I apply it? But I don't mind it. I know people have raved on these blushes. They are pigmented. They're really nice. If you've never tried Essence and you're just looking to try something, blushes and highlights, very good stuff. And the Essence Pure Nude highlighters are gorgeous. So those have been out for years, and they are like a barely there highlight. Like they just give a little sheen to the surface of the skin without looking like real actual shimmer. Those are beautiful. The shade called Be My Highlight, like you cannot go wrong with that. But they do have something new, newly released. These are called the highlighter. And this one is called Staggering. It's a little bit like cooler and icier. And then this one is called Sunshowers. And this is going to have just a little bit more warmth. These seem to be like a more heavy duty highlight than the Pure Nude ones. Just more intensely glowy. There's the Sunshowers, and that's the one called Staggering. One's not really darker than the other, so to speak. They're just different tones. I'd worn this one a few times. I really liked it. I'm going to try this one out for the first time today, the one called Sunshowers. But I like the fact that they just look smooth on the skin. They don't look like really thick with shimmer, but you do get a soft, very wearable glow. It's again one of the high points, I think. You know, the bronzer palette, the blush, this highlight. It just gives some much needed radiance to the skin without looking like too much, but yet it's more than the Pure Nude highlights that you might be very familiar with from this line. I feel like I'm glowing, but it's really not over the top. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention, it looks like Essence has a powder foundation. It's one of those situations where it was new on the website, but they weren't making it available for purchase yet at the time that I got a lot of these other things. And that's so annoying, but it may be available now. But yeah, one additional coverage option from the brand if you're interested. I don't even have anything on this brush. I'm just kind of trying to blend a little bit between the blush and the under eye. So the skin overall is looking pretty good. I felt like I blended the heck out of that concealer, but I can already see like just sort of a thick look to it right in here on like the inner corner of my eye. Couldn't be blended out anymore, but I can still see it. I see why I previously decluttered this from my collection. Next up, we're gonna move on to brows. They have something called Baby Got Brow. Baby Got Brow. They say it's a waterproof eyebrow pencil. I have it in the shade Brunette. This is one of those thicker pencils. It's a teardrop shape. It has the spoolie on the one end. The mechanics of it are really just like the Wet n Wild retractable brow pencil. Only I would say this formula feels just a little softer than that. I didn't really need the product to be any softer than that because I don't like a ton of like brow stuff depositing, but it's not terrible in that respect. I can control it. The brunette shade here is a little bit on the warm side, not terribly so, but not as good for me as Nice Ash was, or Ash Brown. I've given it the name Nice Ash. Ash Brown from the Wet n Wild Retractable just really was perfect, I think. But yeah, I'm just going to take this spoolie and help make sure I've got the product evenly pulled through there. It's okay, you know, this is fine. This is not a problem. It's just I've got things in the similar price range to very closely compare it to. What do you think? Do you prefer the thicker brow pencils or do you like the real skinny ones? I feel like I've been using skinnier ones more often lately because I've been going through my e.l.f. Ultra Precise brow pencil, like reaching for that a lot. And I've been enjoying that. So this does feel quite a bit bigger. It's like when you've just given birth and then you come home and your 2-year-old seems like an absolute giant because you got this tiny little newborn. Yeah, this is the 2-year-old giant right now. Okay, so I love that there's a spoolie, especially with these thicker pencils, because it really does make a difference when you use that. You can see product that had maybe been clinging into the brow hairs, especially if you've got a lot of brow hairs like me. You can tell that that's somehow being like worked in and more evened out. So an okay product, but for me, I wouldn't put it above Wet n Wild Retractable. And then I know Essence has a clear brow gel, just a very standard clear brow gel. I don't have it, so I'm going to use my NYX Control Freak today, which is pretty much as good as it gets for a clear brow gel in the best hold possible. And I also love that when you go to put it on your brows, there's not a bunch of goop. You know, you saw when we used the Maybelline Great Lash Clear on our brows not that long ago, and it was like wetness and it won't dry. This is a totally different ballgame. Okay, we're gonna prime the lids with some Milani eyeshadow primer. Kind of our constant in our makeup looks, isn't it? Oh no, I forgot to use a brush. I'd gotten this Essence bronzer brush. Doesn't that look so good? Kind of an egg-shaped brush, large-ish. I'm definitely going to be pulling this in to some future looks. They had several brushes that looked really good to me on Ulta's website, and it just seems like really good construction, really solid. The flat top brush for the foundation was good too. I mean, that couldn't have felt any more like a Sigma F80. For eyeshadow, I felt like I saw some newer things on Ulta's website, so I thought I would dig in. I know a lot of people already do enjoy their little 6-pan palettes. Like I have the Nothing Compares to Nude one here. They're decent little palettes. I wouldn't put anything that I've tried from this line above like a Wet n Wild 5 or 10-pan palette. Just in some situations, I feel like these little palettes don't give quite as much range or depth as some of those Wet n Wild ones do, but they're there and they're good and they're affordable. But what I was noticing that was new, just some newer, larger palettes. I used this Coffee to Glow one yesterday. It feels so light. It looks like actual cardboard on the outside. It's kind of cute. Got little coffee beans, and then this is the appearance on the inside. They're trying to go like a Huda direction with all these different looks, but here you don't actually get to any of those multicolored pearly pebbles. It's just like a jelly, sort of gel layer. Could give kind of a wet look to your shadow, I suppose, but it's not picking up any color, for me at least. The way those beads are kind of sunken down deep. But I have mattes here, and then a shimmer bronze here, and 2 shimmers right here. And it actually gave me a really pretty look. The shades blended beautifully, I thought. It gave a very warm brown look, maybe a little warmer than I was expecting it would end up, but that's what we got, and I liked it. I actually was very pleased with the textures. The other one that I picked up is this Roma palette, and they had, like I said, several different takes on this size of palette, but this is the one I got. It's got some greens, it's got some kind of earthy colors. It reminds me maybe of the kind of thing Too Faced would put out or something. But I'm going to use this today, and I will be using this for the first time today. I want to first see how this soft, like crease looking color is. So this is just my Profusion crease brush. Just popping it in. Seems really light. It's not generating really any dusty kick up. Can we see if we can add a little more color to it by using the peach? Oh yeah, peach wants to play. I used to be big into using a peach eyeshadow up in this area, like back in high school. I think it was like my transition color before I even knew what a transition color meant. I used to do peachy stuff right up in here. I had a peach from CoverGirl, a single. Isn't it funny how we remember those things? I want to work in some of this green for sure. This forest green is calling my name. Also need some coffee. Coffee always tastes best right at this desk while I'm doing my makeup because I got it sitting on my coffee cup warmer. All right, let's pick up some of this green. I think this is going to tell us a lot. Looks much softer than the last couple shades I've been putting on. Oh, it's a very pure green, like a real Kelly green, you know? I thought it was going to be more like a forest green. It's a little lighter. Okay, I'm listening. That's pretty. Honestly, quite a bit more colorful than I was expecting. So I'm patting this. I'm doing a patting motion because I can tell the texture of this eyeshadow is much softer than the last couple shades I've put on. So I'm really wanting to take care to not be swiping around and getting fallout on my cheek. I'm wanting to just pat it down. It's got like actual little olives right there on the thing. I feel like I want a little more depth in the crease, and I do have this Smokey Eyes brush that I got. This was the one other brush that I got off of ULTA's website from Essence. I'm gonna try it in with a little bit of the brown. Did you see that brown? Oh my gosh, I'm taking a page from Bubba's book there. He's always doing something and saying, did you see that? Did you see that? He is so funny. Like, he's picking up so many little phrases. And he loves Blippi. If you know about Blippi, like YouTube videos about all the stuff Bubba loves, lawnmowers, excavators. Like, he was singing the excavator song in Walmart loudly when I found like a little tiny excavator for him. Like, he sees road construction, he yells, "Excavator!" Like, honestly, Blippi has been good for him. He's learned some big words. He can tell you the difference between bulldozers and tractors and all that stuff. But his latest thing is, you see that? Or you hear that? This little brush is pretty stiff. It's a nice shape and size. Stiffer than the e.l.f. one I was recently talking about in my last video, and larger and less pointy than the Profusion. I felt like as I was pulling in some brown, I was also blending away a little green. I feel like this could be really good on the lower lash line, like smudgy liner. That's probably what they meant by the Smokey Eyes brush. I'm gonna dip into a little green with the same thing and kind of make sure I've still got green reaching my crease, because I like that look. Now what as we go inward? Do we take a little mint? Ooh. Adding a little brightness. What's the texture on this? Just a matte. It's a matte. Our shimmers are here, here, down here, and right over here. So there's like kind of some rosy direction in this palette, peachy rosiness, and then there's some green, and there's some warmth as well. Then I say we reach inward with something more shimmery and see what one of these light shimmers can do. Maybe right next door we go to this champagne color. Oh hey, definitely showing well. Well, it's struggling a little bit over on this. There we go. Benefits maybe from a little finger action. Okay, there's the eyes so far. I'm pretty pleased. We do have this more murky green actually right up here. It looks like an olive. And that's just, oh, is that just overspray? No, it may be down in it. It's like an olive mixed with gold, like a real old gold color. That used to be one of the school colors. We were consolidated with another school for football, and the shades were navy and old gold. When you're a cheerleader and you're constantly making signs and doing fundraisers and stuff like that, you're keenly aware that you are old gold, not bright gold. What else do we want? I think there's an even brighter white that I want to see go around the inner corner. This shade right here is a shimmer. I'm getting a smaller brush, my pointed flat Morphe brush. Yeah, that doesn't mind laying down right there. It's not just like dusting away. It's there. This is kind of a cute palette, honestly. I would say the thing is, you might feel compelled to bring in darker shadows. Like the green ends up on the eye a little brighter than you think. The brown wasn't super dark either. It kind of amounts to like mid-tone color intensity. So know that about this palette, but the quality of what I am using seems nice. I want to try my little smoky brush just going into that brown. And oh, that's cute. Now, it may not stay great because I have said in the past I really don't have great staying power when I just go to the lower lash line with shadow, but just for the look right now. Like, isn't that cute? It gives a nice, just immediately diffused line, this little brush. Look out how I'm not even trying. Man, I was having some weird dreams last night. I don't remember what they were, but I just remembered, like, waking up, taking note of the weirdness, and falling back asleep into the dream. You ever do that? Pick up a dream where it left off even though you woke up? That happens to me all the time. All right, what's up now? And yes, I have been playing with my colorful palettes. I've done some colorful looks here and there, not maybe as many as I've wanted to do just because I've been trying out certain other things. But I think this kind of gets to count as a colorful look, right? I like that green. I really do. Let's swatch a few of the things that didn't get used. Here's some of those other shades, soft shimmers. They're smooth is the thing. They didn't go screwy with any of the shimmers in terms of making them super chunky and flaky or just, you know, give them a different look just to make a statement. Even this guy over here that has the spots, like, he's smooth. These are a couple of mattes, the matte soft orange and the matte peach. In fact, we could maybe edge out of our eyeshadow with a little more warmth right up here, right? Take a little bit of that peach. Or what am I calling this? This looks like pinky peach. Maybe that's salmon and that's peach, huh? Pretty impressed, Essence. I'm going to go liner free today. We're just going to focus on that eyeshadow. And I'm going to use a mascara. It's more important to me that I show you this mascara, and sometimes eyeliner gets in the way of actually showing off the new mascara. They put out something called Another Volume Mascara, just better. I like their sense of humor. They say this has hyaluronic acid and panthenol in it. To me, so far, I don't feel this is better than any of the Lash Princess ones. This ranks below all of those for me. The brush is neat and it's very defining. It's good about not clumping, which may be what some people are out there looking for, but it takes a while to build the thickness. And I think part of the appeal of some of those Lash Princess ones is that those brushes will come out and they will have some product on there and they will be able to build that thickness that you want to see on your lashes. This one takes a little more building to get there, and the more I have to build on my lashes, the more the curl drops, okay? The more time I spend raking something over my lashes, the more they're like, nope, not doing this. See how you get a little excess product right at the tip? That's very normal, but all throughout the brush, it's very, very clean. It's traditional bristles spiraled super tightly, okay? So very close together, very little opportunity for excess on this wand. And I put it on and it just immediately, like, if you're with a ton of lashes just on your own, like you got a real nice natural bunch of lashes going on there, and you want to keep them from looking clumped together, this might be great. Because look what this just did with one coat. The lashes seem like really well defined, do they not? And not clumpy a bit. But if you want thicker, more like look at me lashes, you gotta do some building. It's not bad. I've certainly had much worse experiences and didn't have as many good things to say about mascaras, but this is doing some good stuff. In my opinion, it takes me more time to get where the Lash Princess ones take you much more quickly. But it is building length. Looking down into my mirror so I can get that full application from root to tip, and I'm less likely to come in contact with my eyelid than when I'm looking forward. Now look at that. No clumps. Building a little better than it was yesterday, honestly. Good mascara for those who absolutely despise clumps, because I feel like you'd have to try pretty hard to get a clump out of this one. Clumps or globs. Not very goopy. Oh, I had somebody tell me in the comments section that I probably shouldn't say goopy. Why? We need those kind of nonsense sound effect kind of words. Uh-oh, I just hit my lid with some of that. I'm going to try to let it dry and then kind of scrape it away with a spoolie. It's a pretty looking mascara. It just takes a little more work to get where I want to go. I think it can get there. Okay, so I feel like I've got it doing about all it will do. I am going to put some Cali Ray, come hell or high water, on the lower lashes, just because that makes me feel safe. There we are. For lip colors from Essence, I know I have mentioned these. I think these are a great product. The Extreme Shine Volume Lip Gloss, especially the shade called Milky Way. If you want that look on top of your lips that's like next level shine, because it's shine plus the shimmer. This is a slightly more affordable option compared to the Maybelline Lifter Gloss in Pearl. Okay, so that's great. That's not really new to me. I got a few things in my little haul that are newer to me. I got some lip liners, and I got a couple of these Heartcore Fruity Lip Balms. You know, e.l.f. kind of did something like this. These are shaped more like a traditional lipstick. They say there's with 10% sweet almond oil. And I got the shades Sweet Strawberry and Crazy Cherry. So here's the Sweet Strawberry one. I'm going to try it on for you. No real scent with these. You gotta really be looking for it. Maybe just a little bit sweet, but not as loud as you'd think it could be with the fruity name, right? So it's interesting. These go on, they have kind of a waxy feel and not a lot of shine at all, okay? If you've been craving a tinted balm that also isn't too shiny, this might be that. You know, it's got a nice kind of thick feel, but a little bit waxy, if you know what I mean. So that's the strawberry one. And of course they had more shades besides just these. These are just what I picked. Cherry one going on. You see a little heart in the middle. I feel like I really got to build the color, but yet the color I'm building is nice. Like definitely my lips, but better. That's what that shade is. Waxy on the feel. Don't know how to explain that. It's like thick, but not thick with super pigmented color, but thick with just the balminess of things. Not overly shiny. I think that's a pretty look, frankly. I prefer the cherry one, but I also want to pop that off and show you these different lip liner shades. I got 3. Essence has done some really pretty lip liners in the past. I remember having some. I'm sure I still do have them. Just standard pencils that were really good. These are the Stay 8-Hour Waterproof Lip Liners with Sharpeners. They say, oh, yep, it's there. A little sharpener comes off the butt end. I got the shades Just Perfect, Unforgettable, and Honest. These don't wear as well or as long as a Revlon Color Stay lip liner. That being said, they still apply in kind of a similar way, like their softness, their smoothness. This is the shade Just Perfect, and I do love the color. This would work in so many lip liner situations. And I think it certainly can extend the wear of, like, you want to put a gloss on top, you want to still have like color underneath. It's good, they just don't wear as well as Revlon. There's the shade Just Perfect, and it does feel really perfect with this eye look, I think. But you put it on, there's not like a big creamy mush with it. You know, you feel like it is hanging on. It's doing what most lip liners do. Revlon Color Stay lip liners, in my opinion, are just kind of an exceptionally great lip liner. Need to pull in the wet wipes for removal. Now let's go for this kind of pinky one. This is the shade Unforgettable. Unforgettable. A soft pinky nude. It was tough to pick the shades online. They didn't do a very good job of indicating what you were actually getting. Nude pink, I would probably reach for this one much more often given its depth and more neutral tone, but if you like this kind of shade, there it is. And then this is the shade Honest. I couldn't tell if this was going to be a full-on red or a deep red or what from the website. I just knew it was going to be at least reddish, but it turns out to be very red. These go on smooth. They don't feel dry passing across the lips. And as you can see, I'm filling in the entire lip area for you. It's easier when you don't talk. And there's Honest, very red. And, you know, matte finish like you would expect with a lip liner. I want to go back to Just Perfect because I feel like that is a very perfect shade for this look. Back to it and the finished look. Really, overall, things came together great today. I'm really happy with the look I ended up with. When we're getting into specifics on the coverage products, again, I would go to Wet n Wild for these items. And I mentioned the L'Oreal comparison too. That's going to be even higher in price than what I'm talking about here, but like the Wet n Wild photo focus options, great staying power, even better coverage, same kind of basically lightweight traditional foundation texture. Plus you have the option of going more matte or more dewy. And with this, you know, e.l.f. Camo Concealer I feel wears more reliably on me, doesn't look as patchy and kind of collecting. Wet n Wild Incognito, another great option. So I just feel feel like those are areas where you could stay really in this price range, if not a little bit lower, and do even better with the look. Moving on to the bronzer, this bronzer palette was honestly fantastic. If you like to kind of mix bronzer shades, you just want some nice bronzer textures, that was great. I absolutely loved my little blush as well in that shade Befitting. I thought that was so nice. See how they're trying to simplify? They're calling blush the blush, and their new highlighters are just called the highlighters. I love the new highlighters, okay? These things with the little sunrise or sunset on them are a little bit more like harder to peg. You know, they've got the multiple colors in there, but ultimately they're still just a very glowy powder. I think the aspects of highlighter in these takes over, so it does make you very glowy. To me, the brow gave me a decent look, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna keep coming back to that one. Lip liners were nice. I think Revlon's a little better, but that shade called Just Perfect is very, very nice. And eyeshadow palette wise, I liked the coffee palette, honestly. That gave a really pretty look, but very common shades. Just keep that in mind. And this one down here just isn't doing anything, you know. It's got the pigment beads kind of buried under some solidified gel. This was a big pleasant surprise, I thought. The textures are all good, and they didn't try to screw with us on, you know, the way the shimmers are, turning them into something really difficult to work with. Like, that's a pretty look. I like that a lot for greens. Oh, and the mascara. The mascara did very well. Like I said, took a little longer to get there than it does with their Lash Princess stuff. Top products for me for this whole look, I love just the blush bronzer highlight stuff, and I would say the eyeshadow that I used too. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this full face of Essence. Thank you for requesting this video, and keep the one brand tutorial requests coming in the comments section. I'm so, so grateful for your time and your viewership. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you again soon. I love you. Bye.